here with you today. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and as usual, this is Biafra Global Network. Even if I'm not in the studios anyway, but at least anywhere we are, we have the opportunity to speak the gospel of truth and to get everyone to understand, and at the same time for us to rub minds together and have an opportunity to reason together. I want to welcome you to this live broadcast today in my garden. In the garden. When God began life, He put life basically, especially in control, um, in the hands of man in the garden. He put the man in the garden that was already prepared for humanity, and then said the man should operate from that garden and then do the right thing. And of course, in that same garden, there was an opportunity to determine if we can stand for the truth or to stand for lies. And so the man failed when the woman ate the apple. It's not apple, anyways. The woman ate the fruit. The Bible didn't say apple. We started representing it with apple because we just want to be narrow minded in our own way of analyzing things. I want to welcome you to this broadcast today. I'm live from my destination. Some of you will be wondering, where is this man? Well, he's just broadcasting from the bush. And before you know it, they will bring out a narrative from it and start gossiping. Because our people now, what they do is gossip. All they do is gossip most of the time. 90% of the Biafra project and the talk and the discussions about Biafra is about gossips. What this person has done, what that person has done, what somebody else has done, and all of that. And it's about gossips and gossips and gossips and gossips and gossips. And so these are crazy, things that are going on. And it's very, very, very surprising and very, very shocking that we have people gossiping everywhere rather than concentrating on the fact of how we're going to be free. Now, the big question is, when you find yourself in a critical situation at a particular time, what are you supposed to do? That's the question that intellectual people reason and always ask themselves. The reason along that line. What do we do when what we are doing didn't work initially? What do I do when what I am doing is not giving me results? And what if I need to move forward? How do I move forward? And if I have to, move forward by reminiscing over everything and stopping at a point to access my actions and my inactions and access the things I've done initially. How do I do all of this stuff? At what point did I miss it? At what point did we miss it? Where are we now? Where are we supposed to be? These are the questions important people ask themselves. And when we say important people, we're not talking about those whom Simon has designed as important people because they gave $250 to eat food in a Fox convention. We're talking about importance in the ability to reason. Mazen Amdekanu said something. I'm going to be playing some videos as soon as I'm able to access studio when I get back to my location, so that you guys can see some of these videos and some of this information and then begin to analyze all of these things in the light of what we want to achieve. You see, Biafra project is very fundamental to me and very important in my heart, and I know it is important to you too out there. Your heart, you are very, very, very concerned about freedom, and you are very, very concerned about how we get free. And of course, some of us want to be free, but we don't want to know how we can get free. We don't want to understand the process. We don't want to assess the process. We don't want to assess the process. We don't want to, ask how possible it is. You just want to see yourself in freedom without any form of knowledge on how you can get there. We are not animals, we are humans. And as humans, we definitely must understand it is only animals that just move and keep moving and keep moving. Humans are sensible enough to plan. And when you think that you just want to be jubilating around anybody who comes to speak and talk about freedom, and you just want to be shouting around people who just want to be just talking about freedom. Anybody who comes up and raises their voice and shouts and gives you some effects, you just say, wow, this is it, let's go. And then they extort you, collect your monies. You don't ask yourself, what is the process? What do they have on ground? What is the template? What is the structure? These are the things that will help you understand what people truly want to do. If people are really truthful about what they are doing, then they should be able to make you understand what they are doing at every point in time, even if you don't need to reveal vital information about how you go about it. But there's something called structure. There's something called structure. From structure, people will know how formidable you are, how you are, ready for what you want to do. Anyways, today I'm going to be discussing critically about what we need to do if we have to be free. And please, as you just join in, like this video and share it on all your social media platforms. I've seen one like now. I know we're going to have more likes. Of course, somebody was saying that you see what you're doing now. No much people are watching you again. Not much people are not watching you again. And I said, people are watching. People know what is the truth. People are watching, and God is watching, because my conscience is important in what I do. If it comes to something that has to do with humanity, my freedom, and everything that we stand for, then I must understand the place of God in this whole thing, and then the place of my conscience, because my conscience is the relationship with God. That is where God speaks to me and tells me if I'm doing the right thing. And again, where I critically criticize myself, if I am on the path of God or I am out of the path. I want to welcome you. Yesterday I was talking and I was trying to make you understand how criminal some people are becoming this stuff, and I was trying to make you reason. The most important thing that can happen to us in this liberation project, and especially in this dispensation we have found ourselves, is for us to have the ability to reason. Honestly, this is where we are missing it. We have a fundamental problem. We are people who follow blindly. And we are not animals. It is only animals that follow blindly. Animals just follow by their instincts, the way they are designed to operate, and that's how they operate. But human beings are created to have an ability, or have the ability to critically reason. And when you don't reason, you are in trouble. A people who don't reason and they are smart, they are going to always be in trouble. In fact, they are going to destroy themselves. It is smartness that gives you the sensual and feeling of what because your smartness always rubs around and works more with your emotion. That's the truth. Because smartness prompts you on some stuff and makes you feel like you have knowledge of some stuff. But the truth here is that your smartness must get into the realm of intelligence, where you can now determine the use or the ability to utilize your smartness. That is where we Biafrans have a problem. That's where we have problems. How to utilize our smartness, how to convert it and make it formidable in the class or in the realm of reasoning, in the realm of reasoning, in the realm of reasoning. And this is fundamental. And that is why we are here today, to discuss and to speak and to talk, to analyze, to look at things critically. Now, this is 2 years plus, 2 years, almost 3 months, that Mazen Namdekano has been kidnapped and extraordinarily renditioned. All of you are aware of that. And what is shocking is that, just like Mazen Namdekano said, that 2 million people, 200 million people, they just sit down and watch by how things go bad. They are being killed. They will sit by and watch. In fact, they will help the enemy kill them more. We have been so dormant. We have been so in a place. We have been so sometimes I wonder what's going on. And what shocks me critically, is the fact that we have people who could follow people who, obviously, when you watch and observe the things they're doing, you would know that something is wrong somewhere. Now, I want to come to the issue of, I was talking about a particular voice message that I listened to yesterday morning, and of course, several I've listened. But yesterday's stuff, the one of yesterday, just prompted me so that so that I could just want to, talk more on this. After Mazin Amdekan was kidnapped, the most important thing that was on in for was that we begin to look for who are those responsible, because there's no way an enemy can penetrate anybody or any place without having an eye inside. When the children of Israel were to fight some battles, God Himself became their eye. God would always, give them information about what is going to happen. And most of the battles that they fought, that they didn't have an eye in there, God fought for them so that those people destroyed themselves. When God gave Gideon an eye into the enemy's strategy and what they are thinking and their fears, Gideon was encouraged. So it is what we do that gives the enemy the strength and the courage. When the enemy knows the details of what we do and our plans, and they know that they have a more formidable ability to overrun us, definitely that is when they can be courageous to fight us and to do whatever they want to do with us. That is how enemies behave, and that is how people behave when it comes to wars. You want to access the strength, you want to assess the strength of your enemy, you want to see what they are doing, and then you can now tell what to do, and how to counter them and deal with them. Now, Mazin Amdekan was kidnapped, and the most important thing at that point in time of his kidnap and extra rendition is the information about what happened and who are those responsible, and then how to get him out. These 3 points: what happened, those responsible, how to get him out. That is what every intellectual person would reason along those lines. Every intellectual person would reason along those lines. What happened? Who are those responsible? How do we get him out? What happened? Who are those responsible? How do we get him out? What, who, and how. These are the 3 words, that would have driven any sensible group of people who are serious. Any sensible group of people who are serious. Now, there's so many information of things that have happened after when Mazen Khan was kidnapped and extraordinarily renditioned. So many things. I'm going to try with time as I get back to studio to begin to play each of these videos, sometimes of the meetings after that, and so many things and some stuff people were saying and the activities that went by after the kidnap of Mazen Khan and the extraordinary rendition. Now, what is shocking to anybody, and still is a shock till today, whenever I think about that kidnap, of Mazen Khan, is the fact that from the moment, of course, when he was kidnapped, some few people knew that he was kidnapped, and yet they kept quiet. They never said anything. They never bothered. They were so comfortable that for 8 days this man was in the dungeon of the enemies, and they were comfortable. They were quiet. They were just moving their lives. In fact, they started flaunting their egos and their ability to mean that they are now in control. To their leader, or what has happened to them, or the wickedness that has happened in the organization, the target on their leader, and knowing that their leader is in the enemy's camp, and they just are quiet. They are still patronizing these kinds of people. They are still patronizing those people who to be in the hem of affairs, around that, without questioning them, asking them to sort this puzzle first, sort the issue of the what has happened. They have the guts to tell them any other thing. Coming to give you so many activities and tell you about so many things, what they are doing and how they are. In fact, I hear people tell you that I was listening to somebody, was it Odikema also, he was saying that Simon cannot give you Biafra with this kind of this. Who is expecting Simon to give them Biafra? Can Simon give us Biafra in the first place? No. That's the truth. He's not the one sent. He's not the one sent by Chukwuki to give us Biafra. He is just one who had an opportunity to serve, and he messed it up and abused it. Just like I have an opportunity also to serve. If I mess it up and abuse it, the God of Biafra will deal with me, and the spirit of Biafra will deal with me, and that is it. So when people mess up, they get the repercussion. Now, you might not get an instantaneous repercussion that comes. Of course, the repercussion is already there, but instantaneous evidence of that, maybe cut off and killed and something like that. But definitely, it's going to come. Now, which normal people would have their leader detained, tortured, extraordinarily renditioned for 2 years plus, and they would sit by, continue with the people who claim to be in the office that their leader is in control of, continue with those set of people without those set of people giving them explanation about what happened to their leader. Now, which reasonable people? Now, that is why I titled this thing that before this, well, what we must do now, if we truly want Biafra, what we must do now, because the truth here is, it seems we are very unserious people. We are very, very unserious people. And that is why in the accountability and transparency group, what we are doing is to set a structure that will bring the people together. And along the line of bringing the people together, we'll begin to reason alike and ask ourselves questions. Because if we don't solve this puzzle of Mazen Namdekanu kidnap and extraordinary rendition, we're not going to solve so many things. We're going to still keep having those who are enemies, those who are betrayers, those who are the killers still controlling the affairs. Now, let me tell you something. As long as those who are responsible for the kidnap of Mazen Namdekanu and extraordinary rendition of Mazen Namdekanu, as long as they're still roaming about the streets, they're in control of what is happening now. Common sense. You know why? Because they want to remove him so that they can actually penetrate the structure or the system. Now, removing him and yet we not identifying them means that they are still in charge, means that they are in control. Because what is happening right now, you can tell, I can tell, we can all testify that the house is divided. 1, 2, that the structure is porous. 3, that the operation is corrupted. Kidnappings, killings, um, rapes. I mean, political jingoism, corruption, working with politicians. And I heard somebody saying that without the politicians, we're not going to go anywhere. And I don't know where we get this kind of narrative. You see, when I don't know. Sometimes it shakes me. It shakes me. Let me not say it marvels me. It shakes me when people say they are smart and they are Biafrans, and you begin to wonder: are you saying that without the politicians who have kept you in bondage and who are the stooges of the British contraption and the ones used as proxy by the Fulanese, without them you can't be free? That means you have told yourself that you are nothing, you don't have what it takes, you are empty, you are void, you are just a waste, you are just fundamentally irresponsible to yourself, irresponsible to your life, irresponsible to your nation, and also fundamentally empty and void of the ability to do something for yourself. We know that when people want to have a revolution, it is the people that revolt. Everywhere in the world where people have done some stuff to bring down empires, it is the people that revolted and brought down empires. And now here we are in the context of Biafra, and somebody tells you that without the politicians, we need the politicians to get our freedom. How can you need the slave master to be free when the slave master wants you to continually be in bondage so that he can exploit you, so that he can steal from you, so that he can continue to keep you in the place where he wants you to be, so that he can continue to steal from you? I don't know how people reason. I've listened to so many voice messages that sometimes, I'm not someone who would always want to respond to voice messages when I hear in groups and all of that. I just want to ignore them and move ahead, because I know that no matter what you do in those places, you'll just be exchanging words with people, and people are just ready to waste their time. Our people are very ready to waste their time. They can spend hours arguing and threatening each other, one another, but spend 30 minutes to create ideas. They are intellectually lazy, smart but intellectually lazy. So check out groups where you have Biafra, just check out Biafra groups. All the ones, most of them have left. Just check out those groups. All you see is gossips. They tell you this one did this, that one did that, this is this, that. Nobody's asking the questions. Who is responsible for what happened to Mazen and Kano? What happened to him? How did it happen? And what do we do to get him out? Nobody's asking questions. Nobody's asking the question, how do we plan ourselves now? We have seen that all that Mazen Namdekano did, and then he now set up ESN. And as soon as he set up ESN, suddenly the Nigeria contraption, the politicians and all of that penetrated ESN. Today they have rival groups, AVG, maybe Boago, and all those groups. And they have created so many groups, and all of them, they have divided the house. They have caused commotion. After taking Mazen Namdekano, they know that they need to take him, and then everybody would go with their interest, because when Mazen Namdekano is taken, in fact, most of the people surrounding him were people who had personal interests, and the politicians know this, and the British government knows this, the Fulani government know this, and they know that the people who are surrounding Mazen Namdekano are selfish people. They've been talking with them, they've been discussing with them, they've been interacting with them. So the plan is, remove this man, Mazen Namdekano. He is the one. Once you remove him, we are there. We know how to deal with the other people. And yet the same Biafrans are saying that these are the politicians they need for their freedom, that without these politicians, they can't be free. I wonder what kind of madness would be making somebody say that kind of thing. I've heard so many voice messages and people saying some stuff. We don't need politicians to be free, because you don't need slavery to be free. You don't need slave masters to be free. Slave masters, their task, their program, their desires, and their work every day is to keep you in slavery. That is their job. That is their feature. That is their function. That is what they represent. They are not thinking of releasing you anytime soon. They are not thinking of freeing you anytime soon. So when you tell me that you need the politicians to be free, what I see is betrayal. What I see is that you are part of those who can sabotage. That means once they bring it, what did Soludo do? What did Soludo do in 2021 or 2022 or so? 2021. What did he do before the Anambra election? What happened? The so-called people were all just there, and they just collected the monies from them, and then they sold the whole thing, and they canceled the seat at home, and then they now said, go and vote. That's what they did. Now, if you tell me that you need these guys to be free, then it simply means that you are looking for an opportunity to steal, or an opportunity to betray. That's what it tells me. That's what it tells any reasonable person. Anybody who says that they need the politicians to fight for their own freedom, to get their freedom, what they are saying is that they need bribery. They need somebody to give them money so that they will quell the struggle. Because it is only belly infrastructure people that will tell you that they need politicians to get you free. How can I need my slave master or the slave master to free me when his job is to keep me down because he profits from keeping me down? How? How? How can that be possible? That the slave master would be the one to say, hey, it's time for you to be free. It doesn't happen. The politicians are making good money from your slavery, from you being under the British colonial program, under the auspices or the contraption called Nigeria. They are making good money. The Igbo politicians, the Yoruba politicians, the Hausa politicians, all of them are making good money having you in the contraption, and yet you are here, you are telling me that you need the politicians to make you free. Now, let me go to what I'm saying now. That will be a topic for another day. Now, the question here is for reasonable people, people who are sensible, people who are sensitive, and people who are smart and intelligent. Not just smart, but intelligent. Now, let me tell you, smartness is dangerous when intelligence is lacking. Smartness is dangerous when intelligence is lacking. Mark my words. Write these words. Write them somewhere and think about it. Look at activities in life and understand it. You'll understand this, what I'm saying. Smartness is dangerous when intelligence is lacking. I just want to use simple words in that so that some will understand it better. Smartness is dangerous. Now, what do I mean by smartness is dangerous? When intelligence is lacking, you can imagine that somebody comes to tell you that you see, um, what we need to do is that this one is evil, that 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 one is evil, and all of that. And then they tell you all of that, and then what they know one now want to do is that they just say it and they want you to believe it and all of that, and then they want to go on with that. Later, yes, you know, they just want to tell you that, and then they want to move on in that light. So how do you reason along that line? Somebody comes to tell you, you see, I know that Chikedosim is a good man. I know that. Now you don't tell us someone is good. You will know them by their fruits. If Mazin Namdekanu is the head of the DOS, and he said the DOS is him and he is the DOS, which means that he's the one who is in charge. That's what he's saying. He's the one who is in control. He's the leader. That's what he meant. He was not saying that the Chikedozem is him, Srinasa Woru is him, Woru is him, and other people. No, that's not what he was saying. DOS is an office, is a structure. Is a structure. It is not about who is serving in that structure or in that office. It's about the office itself. So when he was talking about DOS and said DOS is me, he was talking about the structure because he is the head of the structure, and the structure takes instruction from him and all of that. So now, if he is the head of the structure, then those who serve in the offices under that structure must report to him. They must carry out the actions, the functions, and everything that has been designed for them to be part of that structure. They were called into the structure to serve, and not being the structure. Chikedozem is not the structure of DOS. Chinansa or any of those people, they are not the structure. They are only, they are only serving in the structure. The structure itself is fundamental to the organization. That means the structure is the organization. Servant can come, just like they say, soldier come, soldier go, barracks remain. Now, if a structure like that, the people serving in that particular structure are supposed to information based on the fact that for the fact that they are appointed to serve in that structure, they are closer to Mazen Namdekanu. They should know who. And all of these things have happened, and these things were not done. They never asked questions. They never did anything. Just sat down and they just waited for the Nigeria contraption to reveal to you that this Mazen Amkano is in their hands, and the DOS sat comfortable contraption makes us know that they have captured him, and then you are not asking the same DOS members what happened to him, and all you're doing is romancing their ego and looking for enemies to support them. And then Simon shows up, and then you want to justify every evil with your emotional sentiments, and you want to embrace anything just because you just feel that you just have to support someone, you just have to be in a particular group to support one group or the other, then something is wrong, because that means you are not exuding your thinking faculty, as Mazen Amdekano said it. Because the only thing that makes us truly Biafrans is when we leave the realm of smartness, or when we harness that realm of smartness by being intelligent enough to reason. How can the leader of a group be kidnapped? And then those who are serving under that structure are not asking questions. They are not doing anything about it. They are not. They couldn't raise a fact-finding committee. I told them that they have to raise a fact-finding committee. That was what I say. Please like this video and share on all your social media platforms as you are watching, because I want our people to reason. We have to reason together. We have to reason along the line of all of this stuff. Yeah, welcome. We have to reason along that line. So that we'll be able to do what we have to do. We have to reason, and that is what we have come to do. So now, if Mazen Amdekan, the leader of a nation, is kidnapped, what is supposed to happen? The first thing that is supposed to happen is that listen to me again, a fact-finding committee. You see all this dancing around, and especially the most betrayer, the height of the betrayal, is the fact that somebody could give himself titles, names, give himself positions, and begin to tell you about offices when Mazen Amdekano, the leader, is in the dungeon. He's still alive. He's in the dungeon of the DSS. He is there. We have not found out who are responsible. Because let me tell you something about this fact-finding committee. Most of you might not understand how deep this fact-finding committee can help us solve the problems we have right now. Let me tell you something. The whole problems we have right now that is moving around, that is happening, sorry, not moving around, that is happening to us now, the most of the actions, the betrayals, the stealing, the taking for granted and stealing from the people and exploiting the exploitation going on right now are all connected to the fact that there is no fact-finding committee yet set. Let me tell you something. The fact-finding committee would have been able to pinpoint those who are responsible for what has happened to Mazen Amdekano. By the time you are able to pinpoint them, as soon as you're able to pinpoint them, you know what Biafrans will do, would take action. Now, when you are able to pinpoint them, you would have been able to solve the problems we have to an extent of 85% or to 90%. You know why? Because these same people are the ones sponsoring the problems so that they will continue to distract the people, and the people will stay in a situation where they keep jumping around and dancing around the bush so that they will keep covering their own track and still keep milking the people. It is the same people that are responsible for the kidnap and extraordinary rendition that are sponsoring the internal, you know, um, wranglings, quarrels, fightings, betrayals, stealing, and all of that. They are the ones. Because they need to put us in a state of quagmire where we have to continually and continuously be in confusion and gossiping around so many things. Now, today, when you go to most Biafra platforms, when you go to most of our platforms, what you see there is gossips. How many of you check? I want you to carry out this this study today. Just the groups you belong. Just look at the group. Now, check out every message, every video, and everything that is dropped in that group for that day. Now ask yourself, how many of them are ideas created for how we're going to get our freedom? But check out most of them. It's either they are sending you a video of somebody whose head has been cut somewhere, or sending you a video of somebody who said something and said just gossip somewhere, or somebody who is threatening somebody somewhere, or somebody who is a politician saying something, or somebody who posted something and just saying something just to get the people engaged. Now you discover. Now carry out this particular you know um what do I call it now? Just carry out this particular um let's just call it let's just call it assessment. Let's just call it assessment. Just carry it out and grade it. How many percent gives you idea? How many percent of those things are basically ideas on how we can be free? How many percent are just gossips? How many percent are informative? How many? See, you know, oh my God, help us. God help us as Biafrans. We need to do lots of things. I want to tell you something. The most important thing now for us, because let me tell you, ESN was the final stage of the liberation program. ESN was the final stage of the liberation program, because the ESN was going to, out of the ESN was going to come out the army of Biafra that would carry out the right action of fight. I won't talk about the mistakes. Of course, we know that everything, there are mistakes. Mazin Amikano is a human being. There are some mistakes, along the line of and all of that. And of course, having such kind of wicked people around him, they will drag him and they will drag him and they will drag him. And because he has a soft heart, he will keep allowing people function, in spite of the fact that he's trying to talk to them to understand and do the right thing. But if it's for me, if it's for me, once you're a betrayer, once I see a sign of betrayal in you, man, we can't work together. It's either you drop it or you work with us. And that is why a group decision is very, very important. Because when it is a group decision, you know what happens? The group will look at that error or that wickedness of that person or that evil of that person, and the group will decide by a vote. And when the group decides, nobody will put it on anybody and say that it is you that did that and did all of that and all of that. Nobody will put it that way. Because everybody, now this is a decision of everybody, and because everybody takes that decision, you can't hold one person, because we will reason it out. Everybody will reason it out. We will prove to it. We'll prove to ourselves that this person is wrong here. This person is wrong here. This thing this person has done can cause this kind of harm. Can cause this kind of that kind of harm and all of that. And then we now take a decision. Should we remove this person? Should we suspend this person? Should we relieve this person of their responsibilities so that they don't become a danger to us? That is why group decision is very, very important. Group decision. And that is why, I always say this is why, because I have to tell you why, the why of everything. That is why the accountability and transparency group was designed, to make sure that we give information and create that structure that would warrant the necessary information for Biafrans to know how we can get our freedom. Now, let me tell you something. In accountability and transparency group, if I begin to analyze the structure we have put on ground on how we're going to get our freedom, you'll be shocked. You'll be wondering. It's so unique, so unique. But anyways, there are some things you don't come to say online so that the enemies will not begin to take, because all we have been doing all this while is that when they buy one AK-47, they come on air to announce we bought AK-47. Because they want you to bring more money. They keep saying so many things. But accountability and transparency group has a structure and information. And let me tell you something. Accountability and transparency group is one. Once you don't see me, you don't see Evangelist Barbara, you don't see Ego, you don't see Papa Ejima, you don't see, some key people like that, Sami Mwede and all of that, some key people, just know that that is not accountability and transparency group. We had a group of people, few people in our midst, they did some things wrong. The group came together, they said, what you have done is wrong, you deserve suspension. We have to suspend you. And when they were told they were going to be suspended, they now said, "Oh, we are no more part of. We don't want to be part of this group again, and we want to relax. We don't want to be part. In fact, we are tired of this Biafra project. We want to go and sit down because I'm not tired anyways." And they want to resign from Biafra fight, because even their families have been telling them to resign, and then so they want to hands off. They don't want to be. And then they decide to say, "Okay, good. Since you are resigning, and based on the fact that we have had so many situations and some things concerning the accounts, we are trying to remember, funds have been the basis of corruption when it comes to Biafra project and all of that. And people are looking for loopholes and the opportunities to steal. So what we did is this: we tried to close those loopholes under the accountability and transparency group. We create a structure that will make sure that when one naira, let me use naira because most of us in the zoo are using naira, or let's say 1 penny. When 1 penny gets into the account, nobody can just take a credit card or a debit card or something, or just just go there and withdraw the money. No, there's a bureaucracy, there's a process, and it follows the fact that there's a program needed that this money is needed for. So all the loopholes we have found out that is causing us our delays, causing us problems in Biafra project, we decided to close those loopholes, and then we created a structure so that one penny, nobody, including me, I cannot hold a group to ransom. Once I mess up, I'll drop, and the group will continue because the system has been designed to make sure that no one person is in control of anything, so that people don't begin. The devil does not come into the minds of people, and they begin to think of how they're going to steal or what they're going to do and how to utilize, just like what has happened to Simon when he saw that, wow, it could be, I don't know, I don't know what happened. It seems my stuff, okay, it's working now. Okay, so we designed the system in a way that no one person can control the system, so that if I drop today, the group continues. It's a structure on its own. It works. As long as there are people, it works. So no one person, so that we don't have a situation like what happened to Simon when he came in and discovered that, wow, this thing is so porous. Biafrans don't ask questions. They just give you money. They don't ask you questions. And when you tell them that you have done this, you have done that, they just accept you. It was a wow. They now, Azuka and Co, they decided to, wow, this is great. So we use my husband's account. They put it in Azuka's husband's account, and people are contributing. Nobody's asking for records. Nobody's asking for reports. Nothing is going on. All they do is contribute monies, and the guys are using Simon and his rope team using the money for what they want. No, we want to stop all those nonsense. We decided to create this structure so that you can come in, you can decide to say, hey, I want to be part of this accountability and transparency group, and I want to see how this thing works, so that anybody can come in and know what is happening. And that is basically how we structured this thing. And that is why we are saying that this is the time we can function well. This is the time we are setting up the structure and repairing and closing the loopholes, so that when Mazin Amdekano comes out, he will come into a new system that is very, very functional, and that will just hand over to him. That's why we say we don't have a leader. It is only Mazin Amdekano that is a leader. Some people came in and they're trying to destroy the whole thing as we began. They know that from beginning, when we started from onset, we said there's no leader. But they now, along the line, rather than when you tell them that, see, why are you doing this and why are you doing that, they're now bring stories. You see, I've been watching, I've been observing, and we here. Which leader? What do you mean by leadership? And I've told you that leadership is not about enthroning one person. Enthroning one person, the person now becomes, this is the leader. No, leadership is your vote is the word is the total sum of what the group has agreed on. So these are the things we're looking at. Now, the thing that we need to do right now, as I told you, is that we must look at what's happened. The whole problems you see today, the whole betrayal, the whole killings, the whole things happening, those. What happened to Mazin Amdekano? Who are those behind it, and how do we get him out? Unless the person within is the one that will give the enemies the information and the necessary what they need to actually carry out the betrayal and carry out the destruction. And you see, when Jesus himself came to earth, how was he? How was he? How was he? When they couldn't even get him. They couldn't get him, but they needed somebody inside to get him. And that was how Judas made himself available. Now, as long as there is a Judas, you will continue to have the enemies do what they have to do until they kill Jesus, because Judas was still there. And because this was a divine program anyways, God allowed Judas to continue because it was a divine program. Now, you can imagine that for God himself coming as Christ, and then a Judas could penetrate a man called Judas, could actually make the enemy succeed by killing him. Then you can imagine how we are being stupid, allowing those who betrayed Mazin Amdekano to continue running the system, to continue to stay there, and to continue to interact. What do you think? Let me. I want to ask you guys this critical question. How do you even think of, um, how do you guys even think that you want to succeed and get Biafra projects run very effectively by allowing the same group of people who are there under Mazin Amdekano to continue manning those offices without them probing into what happened to Mazin Amdekano? You give them the leverage to continue manning the offices they are occupying even after the kidnap of the leader, and none of them have. The voice message I was listening to yesterday, somebody was saying that we have come, yes, that they know they have made their research. I've heard so many voice messages like that, anyways, but I'm just using this one as the stuff of trying to give more information. He said they have made their investigation. They know that they know those who are behind the kidnap of Mazin Amdekano, and then and China Sanwó is a good guy. I'm sorry, Chike Doziem is a good guy. This one is bad guy. That one is bad guy. This one is good guy. This one from their own investigation. And I've been to wonder: are we stupid? You just come out and tell us that you already know those who are responsible for the kidnap of Mazen Abikano. That's all. And then after that, what else? This is a nation. This is an organization. If you know who kidnapped Mazen Abikano, I too, from my own, you know, personal investigation, I know. The one I think may not be the one you think. So that would make us argue. Because when you are thinking that this person is involved and the other person is involved, based on your own personal investigation and how you think. I also have my own personal investigation, and I think this person is involved, that person is involved. Two of us having different opinions, and also other people having their opinion. Now, what will bring our opinions together to solve this problem and make it fundamentally clear, and to know those who truly are, and from those who truly are, we can also access those also who are there that we couldn't access from the people that were able to indict immediately. What would the only way it can work is when you bring your evidences, I bring my evidences, other people bring their evidences, and then we have a panel, professional set. That panel will look into my evidence, look into your evidence, look into everybody's evidence, and then they would do their facts finding, check-ins. They'll make their researches, they'll do their fact finding and all of that, and then they will come with a comprehensive information that the whole group, maybe 15-man group, which about 4 of them will be people who are not Biafrans but professionals from other places. And then all the evidences will be brought, and then we can now say this is what it is. And as soon as you have that kind of evidence, you will discover that most people who are causing the problems now in Biafra struggle of Biafra movement program will be indicted. And as soon as they are indicted, Biafrans will, run away from them. And of course, as at that time now, we know what to do. But now you don't know who is responsible. You don't know who. So you follow anybody. You are just there. How can you allow your enemies roam about within you and you think that you are safe? How? People who don't want you to be free. Sponsored by politicians. They sponsor the kidnap of Mazen Abikano. Extraordinary rendition of him. Torturing of him. They are now sponsoring also. The same people who they used to do that job are still roaming about. Nobody has discovered them. Nobody has seen them. And I saw somebody was saying, you see, I don't like insulting people, but when you call people idiots, it is basical because it is not an insult. It is actually an attitude. Idiocy is an attitude. It's a function of a malfunctional way of behavior. When somebody thinks that they just do something out of stupidity. I hear somebody said that you see, Mazen Abikano will come out. When he comes out, he will tell us what happened to him. Oh Lord, have mercy. That's why I say Biafrans are smart, but they are not intelligent. Most of them, not all of them. How can you tell me that someone is in trouble, the person is being held in captivity and all of that, and you're telling me that I have to wait for the person to come out of the trouble, to come and tell me what happened to them? How? At the point of the attack, the person is only limited by what happened at that scene of attack. That's the limitation. But anybody who is sitting outside would have adjudged maybe from what this attack that happened to this person. I remember this super. He told me that this super person called him, and I remember so thing happened. I remember we're supposed to do this together. I remember this and this that. People would have their different information, but the person who is attacked does not know. It's spontaneous. It happened at that moment, and that attack is only what he knows. That's what he knows. Maybe later he will begin to link the process of the attack into so many things, and all of that. And then he will now begin to say, okay, this is what happened, that is what happened. Maybe when he begins to link all of that, and then he'll begin to, that is when he's out and he now begins to see the reports. Because as at the time, if he had information that he's going to be kidnapped, he will not be there. He will not be there. Why would he go there when he knows he's going to be kidnapped? He went there because he never knew that some things like that are going to happen to him. But there are people outside who knew that this thing is going to happen to him. And these people must have interacted with some other people and all of that and some other people. And these are the people, some of them are in the office of the DOS. So if you are going to get facts, there are people who are going to be interrogated, and through their statements you can trace some information. That's how it works. You don't tell the person who didn't know that something was going to happen to him that when he comes out he's going to tell you what happened to him. Are you mad? Or is it that we are so daft that that we even an ant knows what to do at any point in time? You just touch an ant, they'll run. They'll just look for a hole to go into. We need to do the right thing. We need to do the right thing. Mazen Amekano is very, very important to us. We need to do the right thing, and we must take it up. You know, we must take it up. We must take this up. You know, we have to do the right thing. And except we do this, all these killings, all this betrayal, all this extortion, stealing, setting up a convention, a referendum convention, and using it to extort money from the people, telling the people you are doing this, you are doing that, you are carrying this program, you are carrying that program, you are doing this, blah blah. All of this stuff will continue. Worse off. But if you can join us under the accountability and transparency group, you will see how we're going to organize, set the structure, get a committee that will begin to probe into what happened to Mazen Amekano. Because that is the only solution to all the problems we have. Because as at that time, Mazen Amekano created the ESN, that was the climax. ESN would have bettered the army that would have carried out actions, that would have carried out actions for the liberation of Biafra. But the enemies knew this. Those within who are always wanting Biafra project to continue as a family. Every week or every month, people are going to gather somewhere and talk about Biafra and talk about their predicaments and talk about how they're going to do this, and then they contribute money and send to the DOS. In my community, I heard how Ima Powerful, and his brother, collecting monies and all of that. And I told them, I said, don't contribute anymore, because you know why? You can't continue. You can't continue to give to criminals. Reason, contributing monies, they are still demanding for money. Now they're telling them to I mean, what they are telling them to buy, they contribute money and buy Hilux van. Every unit should contribute money and buy Hilux van. Hilux van for what? To move around in your criminality and do the normal criminal work that you're doing in the program. This that when you don't have a fundamental program to the roadmap and a fundamental um, liberation program that will help you give you the focus and give you a focus of what you want and how you're going to get the results. You are buying Hilux van for what? All the ones they've been buying, all the things they've been doing. The other time they took $2 million for a farm business. Where's the farm? There's no structure to monitor all of this stuff. So whatever you contribute goes into the belly of few. That's why I've told them, don't contribute to any other person. Don't contribute again. Don't give any money. Because there's no structure to manage that money. They will continue to steal the money and you will continue to be the fool. How long are you going to be foolish? For God's sake, be wise. Don't be a follow. You don't need to be a follow. For God's sake, you don't get freedom by... Master Namdekan said you get your freedom by truth. All these follow you people are doing, you people are just... You don't need it. So that you'll be in the good book of Simon, or you'll be in the good book of the DOS members. How? Even before they came in, the Afro projects have been there. And if not for the betrayal of other people, maybe they wouldn't have been there. If not for the extraordinary rendition of Mazen Amekano, maybe I wouldn't have come out, because I just felt everything was going on good. I was just a good follower, just stay there out there. And when he was asking for the 100 men, I had in my mind that, hey, you are one of those they are talking to. But I just sat back. I said, well, let's see how it goes. Let him continue. Let's see. I think he has men. My mind, because nothing was being reported. Nobody was giving information about. I wish Mazen Amekano was giving information about what these people are doing to him, honestly, because there are some things now. Now it's obvious that if this is the time to always expose those who are doing some wrongs, because when you keep shelling them and keeping them shelling them, they will keep doing worse things, and before you know it, they will do the one that will destroy so many things. Mazen Amekano had this kind heart. He was just following them, he was just managing them and trying to see how they can be better people. He will come, sometimes he will feel like not talking to them, but he has to continue to make them, teaching them, and kept teaching them, not knowing that they were getting worse, not knowing that they were planning the worst. That is why it's good to sometimes, when people do evil, you expose it immediately. Expose it immediately. I'm not talking about gossips where you go to start looking at people's private lives and you want to gossip, bring them down. No. the things that concerns the project, the things that concerns Biafra. When people do wrong, you point it out. The group looks at it critically and say this is wrong and arrest it. You make sure they don't have access to sensitive information and classified information or confidential things, because those are the things they need to get the enemies to destroy. And other people have mentioned, please, it's not accountability group. The original accountability that was created, confusion, because they know we are formidable. They know that what God wants to do through accountability and transparency group. So to come and cause confusion. If you want to live and build another group, why not call it another name? Why? You're supposed to serve in humility, and you rebel. You decide to say you no more want to be part of the group. You want to stay on your. In fact, you don't want to be involved in Biafra project again. Then suddenly you show up one day and say you're accountability and transparency group, and you start designing things and say you're launching. That's rebellion, and you can't build anything on rebellion. It's not possible. It's not possible. So anybody who goes to join them, that person is foolish, because if you join rebellious people, then you're in trouble, because rebellious people you can't found anything on rebellion. Which is why we are so critical about the foundation of Biafra. That is why I spoke against Simon. You don't start anything. You don't put Biafra monies, resources of people in one person's account. And she's the one running the whole thing. She's the Minister of Securities of Defense, and Secretary of Defense. She's also in charge of finance. Because you are afraid if you remove her from one of those offices, if you remove her from finance, bet you, Biafrans, tell Simon to go and remove Azuka from finance. He can't do it. You know why? He knows that once they put somebody else there and they give that person charge of the account, some information will come out. He can't try it, because you know why? That is where they have their secrets. That is your monies. Is where they have their secrets. So Azuka will continue to be there, and of course will continue to be among those group of people that they call them, because they use money to control these people like Putuza and all of that. They control them with money. And that's what's going on. So I want you to be sensible this time around. Move beyond the point of being smart. Get into the realm of being intelligent. Smartness has a way of operating with the emotion and committing so many blunders. Because smartness has information, but does not have the know-how to deal with information. That's what smartness can give. You can know so many things. You can be so knowledgeable about so many things, but if you are not intelligent, you would not know how to utilize information. So what intelligence does for you is that intelligence helps you exude or maximize your smartness. That's what it is. You can see somebody coming out now, hey, I am supporting the DOS members. I am for DOS. DOS is wise, blah, 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 blah. That is just being intellectually low. They are smart. They will give you so much information that DOS have done this. DOS was created by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. DOS and everything. Okay, let's agree to all of that. After creating them, does that mean that they are now omni? They can never be wrong. They can never do any error. They can never carry out any error. They can never do anything wrong. For the fact that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu called people's names, people and call their names online and said so many things, follow this one, follow that one, follow that, it's not a lifetime ticket, because at the point of their misbehavior, that grace is cut off. That was why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said that if you misbehave, we'll give you IPOP treatment. But people would always remember that side where he said follow this one, follow this one, follow this one. They don't always remember the side he said if you misbehave, we'll give you IPOP treatment. This is what we're saying. Stop allowing yourself to be fooled. Exceed your intelligence. Please share this program on all your social media platforms. Like this video. I'm still going to come out tomorrow again. I'm still going to talk to us tomorrow morning. And I'll make sure that we keep getting this message. The things we must do now, very, very important. We must do these things to get our freedom. I want to appreciate you. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and I want to thank you for being part of this. Please share this video on all the social media platforms. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. You know, all these people who have left because they don't want to hear the truth, they have decided to unsubscribe. That's their business. With time, they will be rushing. The time will come, the truth will be established. And we are not shaken because we believe in the truth. Thank you so much, all. I appreciate you all. And God bless you. Very good. Stay safe. Stay cool. I love you all.